Okay. And we are back with what I think should be probably the last one of this particular thing. We've only got a few more components to go. So, first up, let's go ahead and go with the support arm component. So, we're going to click on our Insert Components. And it's going to bring this up. We're going to go down to Support Arm, hit Open. And we're going to go ahead and drop that in space here. Okay, so we've got our support arm. Now this support arm, these big ones are going to go over here. Little ones are going to go back here. And then we're going to make one of these faces or planes coincident with one of these planes. So those are the three mates that are going to be locking this up. Now, I keep saying three mates because in most cases, three mates are all you need to fully constrain something. Two mates will constrain it mostly, but not all the way, typically leaving you a little bit of flexibility. But three mates will typically completely lock an assembly down, or that's how many are typically needed to fully do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and first up, let's start with the concentric mate between here and here. So let's go ahead and click on one of them, go into our mate tool, and let's click on our second cylinder. So now we can see those are lined up. We don't care, actually we do care a little bit about orientation. So you can see back here we do have flats on this back section, and those flats are going to need to line up with this line right here on the back end of this tab. But in this case, those flats are already lined up, so let's go ahead and hit our green check mark. We can continue on. Next up, let's go ahead and align this right here with the circle on the bottom here, this bore here. Hit our green check mark, and those are all lined up. And lastly, let's go ahead and get everything lined up vertically. So I've clicked on that top face on my tab here. I'm going to click on the bottom face of this, and that'll line everything up. We're going to go ahead and hit our green check mark one more time, and that side is finished. So that side done. Let's go ahead and do another mirror, because in honesty, the majority of the time you are not going to create right-hand and left-hand components necessarily. You may. I take that back. You very well may. It all depends on what the finished product is, what the plan is. Are you making this? Are you just using it to show people? So let's go ahead and click on our drop-down, go down to our mirror components. Again, this is underneath linear component pattern. Mirror components, we're going to select our right plane again as the mirror plane, and our component is just going to be that arm. Now, this time we know better, so we're going to go ahead and hit the right button so that we can make sure that we know exactly how this is going to mirror. You can see that it has already mirrored completely. We've got our flat here, and everything seems to be lined up. Let's go ahead and hit our green check mark. And there we go. Now you can see that we are fully lined up on both of those. Alright, the very last component on this thing is a label on the top and the bottom. These are just little pucks that are going to go in there. So let's go ahead and hit our insert component one last time. Let's hit our label, wherever it is. This is mirrored label. Label, there we go. And I'm not sure why they've got mirror label in there. We're not going to use a mirrored label. We're just going to use this one twice. So to insert two of those components, because we know that we're going to put this in here twice, we can come back up here into our model tree, into our tools, get it keep visible, and just click two of these. Now the reason that I didn't want to do mirror it is because if you mirror it, it may put the wording backwards, and I don't want that. I don't want the wording backwards. So these little pucks here are just going to drop right down inside here. So the first one, let's go ahead and let's click on the cylinder on the outside. The reason I do the cylinder on the outside first is because it's typically easier to align the cylinder and then like pull the pieces apart and then click on the two coincident faces and have them come back together than it is to have those faces come back together and then like kind of shift stuff around and slide it. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to go ahead and click I got to get into my mating tool. I got distracted there. So I've got that cylinder selected, hit my S key, enter the mate tool. I'm going to come back down here and click on the outside bore of this. And it threw it way down here, which is okay. Okay, it's upside down though, because we want to do this top one first. So I'm going to hit my flip mate alignment. That's going to flip it around. And it's going to come right up in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. It's all the way on top. So I'm going to hit my green check mark. And then I'm going to go ahead and seat it. I'm going to click on... Now, I don't know because I didn't design this, I don't know if this seat down here and this seat here are going to be coincident. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this surface here. I know that that surface should bottom out in the design. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click this top rim here, have that drop down, and now that one's in place. Now, we do have one problem. We've only got 2 mates, and it is floating, right? So let's go ahead and lock that orientation. We're going to come back over here into our model tree, inside our model space. I'm going to go ahead and collapse nose 1. I don't care about that one right now. I'm going to go down to what looks like, yep, label 2. So if you hover over these in the model tree, you can see, look specifically at the what is that, label that I've put in place. So label 1 is up on the right. Label 2, as soon as I hover over it, you can see that orange box around it. That means that component is label 2. That means that I don't have to drop down both of these to try to figure out which one is which. I can just drop down label 2. I'm going to go to my right plane, and I'm still in my mate tool. So with that right plane, I'm going to click on the right plane of my component, hit my green check mark, and now those are lined up. I'm going to go ahead and collapse label 2 because the next one I want to do is label 1. We're going to do the same 3 mates on label 1. We're going to select our outside cylinder. I'm going to rotate around so I can get to the bottom of our part. I'm going to click this cylinder here. Now it's sent it over here, and it did go upside down again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my flip mate alignment. It's going to flip it around. I'm going to hit my green check mark. Next up, I'm going to hit this surface here. And I'm going to rotate around a little bit so I can get to the back of my label. Click that inside face there. And lastly, I want to lock that rotation again. So I'm going to expand label 1, because remember we're in label 1 this time. I'm going to click on my right plane on label 1. I'm going to click on the right plane on my component. Hit my green check mark. Green check mark one more time. And there we go. That is the completed bottom-up assembly. It's not too bad, right? It seems a lot worse than it actually is. Remember, a couple of things to keep an eye on is when we're doing the mirror mates, make sure that the mirrors are going the right direction. If they're not, enter into that subcategory or that subsection of options and select the create mirrored or create left-hand version or opposite-hand version, whatever that was. With the spring, we did that offset mate. So that offset mate is going to put it back where we had it rather than back drastically right on top of each other. All right. And then we went over the section tool again. Let's hit that one more time. And we can see that section tool has sectioned everything out. Okay. And that is it. That is it for our assembly for this week. Go ahead and make sure you save that. Now, when you're saving that, save that into, I'm going to go ahead and hit save on mine. Save. It's going to ask me if I want to save all. And I'm going to save that into the same folder as all of those subcomponents. I have to do that because when you turn it in, you're going to take that folder, you're going to compress it or zip it, and then you're going to turn in that zipped file. And if I don't have all of those subcomponents and your assembly in that same folder, I'm not going to be able to see any of the stuff that you did, and you're going to be automatically deducted by 50%. Okay? If I don't get all of that stuff in a folder, it's going to be half off. I can see that you turned it in, but I can't see any of the stuff that you actually did. So make sure it's all in one folder and you turn that folder in. Okay? And that is it, guys. That's it for this particular assignment. If you guys have any questions, I will be doing a live, what's that called? Whatever the that live stream thing is that we have access to. I will post a link up for that in the announcements, so you guys can hop on there. That will be this Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Okay, so I'll be on there from 4 o'clock until whenever the last person signs off in about 5 minutes. So if you want me, make sure that you're on there within the first 5 to 10 minutes. If you can't get on there in that amount of time, please contact me and let me know. We can get something set up, but that's just going to be my time that I'm going to be available for you guys to be able to ask questions. All right? And with that, thank you everybody for hanging out and watching. Good luck, guys. Remember, if you've got any questions, go ahead and write them down in the comments below any of these videos. That'll help everybody out. If you've got specific questions, go ahead and send me messages on Canvas. That is okay, too. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on Wednesday.